Hey, what's up guys, my name is Brett, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another Duel Links video, welcome back to another Duel Links 5Ds video. Actually, it's the first proper 5Ds video on the channel. We had the stream earlier today, which did really well. We absolutely smashed it. Thank you guys for coming out to that. We're going to do another stream tomorrow, hopefully going to look at unlocking Leo and Luna. That's probably what's going to be the goal of that stream. But today, this video is going to be talking about the Dream UR ticket. Now, we got one of these from the level up, or from the login bonus campaign today. And this UR ticket is probably the best one we've had so far, just based on the library of cards available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my top picks for this Dream UR ticket. Now, I'm not the most competitive player, but I think the competitive cards are kind of obvious. We're going to go over those, talk over those, and obviously it's up to you what you get, but I'm actually going to be picking and redeeming my UR ticket in this video as well. Let me know what you picked in the comments down below, and let's get into it. So, on the first row, the only good card here, in my opinion, is Princess. Now, the problem with Princess is, one, she was an event card, so most people already have 3, and 2, she's actually, if not already, she's actually going to be at the rank rewards. She's going to be a UR ticket, a UR card available from the ranked duels tickets. So you really don't want to be wasting this one opportunity to potentially go into a box you don't need to on this card. Though if you're playing Amazonas, she is definitely one to get. If you only have one of her, then maybe you might want to go for this card just so you can get one from this Dream ticket and then one from the ranked duels, so you can play the deck to its optimal as quickly as possible. That could be a good idea, but like right now, I would kind of stick a bit clear from Princess just because you can get her through other means, and you never know, she might be available in the UR tickets coming up later this week. The next decent card is a couple of lines down. I think you guys can all guess which one I'm going to pick. Cosmic Cyclone, a very much staple card in pretty much every deck. If you're running Cyberstar, this is a mandatory card. Pay 1000 life points, target one spell trap god on the field, and banish it. So not destroy, just straight up banish, won't go to the graveyard. A very powerful quick play spell, and it's just one of those cards, if you haven't got in Duel Links yet, you haven't got at least one of, then you are kind of missing out. And obviously over time this is going to be power crept, but this is a very new card in the TCG as well. It only came out like 3 or 4 years ago, I think it is, and there's not been too much to actually up itself. There's been things like Twin Twist in the TCG, but that is a completely different beast in itself. But Cosmic Cyclone has kind of stayed good for a long period of time, especially in Duel Links. It's been one of those cards that you've just, as soon as you've got it, it's kind of there and you kind of put it in any deck going. So another very good pick, but definitely not one of my top picks. There's also other cards here that are event cards like Chromatic Overdragon, which obviously you might want if you're a fan of Zane because he wasn't available in the last Unlock event, but we're probably going to end up getting that card as a gate drop when Zane does come back, so don't really go for that. Another card on here I think could be a pretty decent pick is Dark World Duel Links if you haven't got it already. Of course, we do have the selection box back, and I think this was a selection box card. I think it was in the first one, which is why people were so kind of outraged at the first selection box. But each player draws one card, and then each player discards one card. A very powerful card. Obviously, in Dark World, it's really good. In Exodia, it's really good. In any deck where you want to draw potential, it's incredible. So if you need that card for that type of deck, then I definitely recommend picking up one copy of Dark World Duel Links. Another card here that could be good, but again shares the same fate as Amazon's Princess, is Dinotherium, especially with Synchro summoning now being the new hotness, and going forward every deck is going to kind of want to try and incorporate that summoning method. You're going to want monsters to be able to special summon themselves out onto the field as quickly as possible, and Dinotherium is a card that can do that. It is available as a ranked duels UR ticket, it has been for a couple of months, so you probably already have 3 of these, but if you don't, you may want to look into this, but again, you can get it from a ticket, from a UR ticket, just by playing ranked duels, so I'd highly suggest doing that instead. Next, we actually have 2 cards on the same line, which is crazy. Floodgate Trap Hole, obviously not seeing as much play now as it used to, but still an okay card. I think this was available when GX came out, so it's been like a whole year since we've actually got Floodgate. So a pretty cool card, but again, doesn't see too much play right now, but if you need it for a deck, maybe this would be a good choice. And also Forbidden Dress, we've kind of seen this see a little bit of play with Yubel, if you want to try and make sure she stays on the field. Target one face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn, that target loses 600 attack, but can be targeted or destroyed by other card effects. Obviously it doesn't affect Yubel in any way really, because she has no attack anyway, but it is a pretty good card, pretty good tech card, but I believe it's a mini box card, I think. If not, it's a main box card. It might be a main box actually, but it's just one of those picks that is a cool pick, but I personally wouldn't pick it because there are definitely some better cards going further down. My next pick obviously is going to be Mirror Wall. Doesn't see as much play now, but still a pretty decent card from all the way back in Age of Discovery from 2 years ago when Duel Links first came out, pretty much. Came out in like the November booster set, I think it was, or December, somewhere around that time. So it's been around the game for a long time and has kind of still seen some play, but obviously it's not as good as it was now. And the card I think is the most worth, I think, from this set, if you're a very general player, is Paleozoic Canadia. Because you see this card come up in every deck, and if you've only got one of them, then you are at a disadvantage when you're playing against other people. You really want 2 or 3, and I've only got 1, so I think immediately right now, I'm going to be putting this card into my receive card pool, and that's going to be the card I'm going to be picking out at the end of the video, unless there's anything else in this card list that kind of strikes me, because Canadia, obviously, you can target one face up monster opponent controls and put it into face down defense mode, so you can stop for hires very easily, you can stop things like spellbooks very easily as well. Then, when a track card is activated, you can just summon this guy out as a normal monster as well, and that kind of also helps with synchro summoning, because it gets you a monster on the field, be it only level 2, but in most of the duels I've played so far, you kind of are missing level 2 monsters to go into synchro summon, so not a bad card for the 5Ds era either. Then we have the big one, and I think this is the biggest shock, is that Silent Magician, a box UR structure deck EX UR, is available through this ticket. And I think if you've got 2 already and you really want to play Silent Spellbooks and you really love the deck, go for this, because then you won't have to spend an extra $5, $6, whatever the cost of the deck is. If you've only got 1, I'd suggest waiting. If you don't have a Canadia and you really want Canadia, I'd go for Canadia. Like that, like my thinking is kind of Canadia, Silent Magician, anything else, because I only have 2, and I'd rather go into the structure deck, especially since the deck I think right now is on sale. I'd rather go into that with my wallet rather than actually use the ticket for it, but I can see why people would want to use the ticket for it, because it is just a way to get a pay-to-play only card for free, so that's really nice, and obviously Silent Magician is a great card in itself. And finally, we're going to stick on this page because there's a couple of cards on here. Obviously, Sphere Kuriboh, a very powerful staple card that's in play all the way since Ultimate Rising back in 2016 when that first came out, so a card that I think everyone by now should have 3 of. I only have 2. I'm not going to go back into Ultimate Rising to get it. If you kind of need 2 at least, I think is the kind of optimal number, like that's the kind of the minimum you kind of want. If you haven't got 2 already, go for Kuriboh if you need it, but if you don't, obviously don't go for it. But it is a very good card and a very good choice for the tickets. Okay, so whilst I was editing this video, I completely forgot to mention Master Anki, because I think this card is another one of those cards that people have had chance to get in the past, and people still haven't got it, and it's a deck that still sees play in the competitive land, and I think might see a bit more play now that Synchro's in, because the Destiny Hero engine kind of has a lot of level 4s, and we kind of have access to a bunch of tuners that can make going to things like Stardust Dragon and Black Rose Dragon very, very easily. Of course, Stardust Dragon is available as a box UR outside the skill, and obviously Black Rose is including the skill, but as Synchros kind of go on, I think the Master Hero deck might be a fun little deck to incorporate Synchros in a little bit further. So Master Anki is going to be a pretty decent choice going forward. I think you only really need 2 to kind of at least play Master Heroes, and 3 obviously is going to make things a hell of a little bit more consistent, because you can then keep spamming your Master changes going into potentially 3 Ankis in one turn if that's possible. But still a very powerful card, and a card that if you haven't got yet for your Master Hero deck, definitely is one you should pick up, and this definitely wasn't a way for me to extend my view time to hit the 10-minute mark. Definitely not. And the last 2 cards are going to be cards that are going to benefit Synchro decks very heavily. So just like Dinotherium, the Tricky is going to benefit Synchro decks, especially because it's very easy to special summon out. Puts a card in your graveyard, and depending on the deck, that could be a very possible advantage. Of course, this card is available through a mini box, so it's easier to get anyway, so I probably wouldn't recommend going for this card specifically if you want to kind of get a card that works well with Synchros. If you do, I'd say go for something like Treeborn Frog, a card from a main box UR that can very easily special summon itself out every turn and set your field up for more Synchro plays. So this video has kind of been, hey, what cards are good for Synchros and what cards are just good in general, and if you guys agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to click confirm on Canadia, because I really want that. That is me done. That is my dream UR ticket done. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. See you then.
Team 5Ds too. I'll prove I can hold my own.